thank you so much for your time. Well, I'd like to begin with the reason why we're talking today. It is, of course, 60 years since Nigeria gained independence from Britain. Looking back, as a former Prime Minister, what would you say the positive aspects of those 60 years are? Specifically, what have been the challenges still today, and what do you think the opportunities are for the future?
So first of all, happy birthday, Nigeria. It's 60 years old. And in a headline, Nigeria and Nigerians can be very proud. Nigeria is a strong, independent country, largest economy in Africa, largest population in Africa. It's got many exciting things about it, not just from a business perspective, but if you look at Nollywood and culture and arts, it's immensely positive. Around the world, Nigerians, I think, are respected and considered a country of very smart, capable people. I think the challenges are all on the policy and, my side, on the politics, really. They're on the governing side. But I'm optimistic about Nigeria. I think it's bound to be one of the great nations of the world, a powerful nation. And yeah, it's got many challenges, but I think it's got the capability to overcome them.
Thank you, Mr. Blair. You mentioned challenges there. I wonder if we could segue on to talking about the work the Tony Blair Institute does. We know that it has worked on governance in Nigeria, especially with the Office of the Chief of Staff to the President of Nigeria. In that context, what lessons have you learned from your time in government on how Nigeria itself can push through stronger improvements and faster reforms, and ultimately so that Nigeria can be better governed?
My institute really focuses on helping people in government reform and change and move their countries forward and do it in a more effective way. And all the things that we do really are born out of my experience in government, which is that the challenge of government is not having the right vision, it's getting things done. The challenge of government is all about implementation. So we have worked, as you say, with the presidency, with the vice president. We're actually working in the Nigeria CDC as well. We do work in Nigeria precisely around these questions of implementation. And what I think is really important for Nigeria as a country now and in the next decade is just to focus on certain core priority areas, which are very obvious: energy and electrification for the country, agriculture, making sure that Nigeria has the connectivity it needs, dealing with issues around corruption, of course. Focus on certain core priority areas, and just we know what needs to be done. The what is not very hard to describe. It's the how, and that's what I think. Nigeria. It's a federal system, of course. It's the states are very powerful within Nigeria, but that if I had any broad, counsel to give, it would be that. Don't try and do everything. In my experience of governments try to do everything, they end up doing nothing. Just focus on the core things where you can really move the needle. And to be fair, I think, the plans that are in place and some of the implementation is moving in the right direction.
Mr. Blair, as we wrap up our conversation, sadly, I'd like you to look to the future, if you will. How do you see Nigeria over the next 60 years?
So my bet is over the next 60 years, Nigeria will sort its problems out on policy, politics and governing. And, you'll get a whole new generation of people coming through who are going to develop the country's potential in the way that it should. And you can see some signs of this. So we talked about culture, which is one very obvious thing because, it's a highly competitive international business, isn't it, culture? And yet Nigeria has managed to locate a spot in it and, become a world leader. It's interesting in the music scene just in that last 10 years, I would say Nigeria has gone from pretty much a backwater to being, one of the front and center pillars of modern music. So you then take that and you take that across the piece. If you look at what Nigeria is doing now on the clean energy side, finally this is being taken really seriously. In terms of development of solar energy, you'll have about 25 million people benefiting over the next few years of new solar projects. The withdrawal of the fossil fuel subsidies is an important move for Nigeria to do. You're looking at how you reform, because obviously, the oil industry in a way is an industry that in the medium term is going to be a declining, well, it is already a declining industry and decline still further. And then I think if you can put down real roots around rule of law, absence of corruption, the future is very bright. You're going to be a large population country. You've got amazing natural resources. You're pretty well positioned in the world. What's there not to be optimistic about if the right decisions are taken? So the challenge, as I said right at the very beginning, is really with my profession. It's can your politics, both at a federal and a state level, build the capacity and capability to govern really effectively, not just honestly, by the way, and transparently, but effectively, and learn the best lessons of what happens around the world. I think the other thing I'd say to Nigerians, this is sometimes a controversial message to give, but my experience from working around the world is never be afraid to take ideas from whatever quarter they are or whatever country or culture they're in. It's not a sign of lack of faith in your own nation or culture to take the best from elsewhere and build on it. It's actually a sign of confidence. And I think the more Nigeria also throws its doors open to new thinking, new ideas, let those ideas come in and then be given a Nigerian dimension, which is inevitably what happens in these circumstances. I think that's also important. And the final thing I'd say is, in the world that's happening today, where capital's mobile and technology's mobile, the one thing that's fixed is population. The most important part of it is youth. And the most important thing with youth is to educate them.
Absolutely. I think that's a fantastic place for us to end this conversation. I've thoroughly enjoyed talking to you, Mr. Blair, about your ideas, your experience for Nigeria, currently working on governance in Nigeria. We're grateful for your time. And I suppose this would be a good time for us to, again, wish Nigeria a happy 60th birthday.
Yeah, happy 60th, Nigeria. And thank you so much for having me on the program.
Thank you very much. Wish you a great day.
Thank you. Thanks, Adefemi. All the best.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Tony Blair there, former Prime Minister of Great Britain, of the United Kingdom, and great interview by Adefemi Akinsanya, as usual. Perhaps one of the most productive correspondents that we have in Rice News, always delivering. But, the point made by Mr. Tony Blair, I think, would need to be stressed further. The fact that Nigeria should keep itself open to ideas from elsewhere, not just from technocrats or experts from other countries, but also from Nigerians in diaspora. Yeah. We have many Nigerians in diaspora who are doing very well, who have brilliant ideas, who would like to contribute. We have a diaspora commission. And I see that diaspora commission has been doing a lot in terms of looking out for Nigerians. And then people in diaspora, the diaspora remittances have also been very useful, although slowed down by COVID-19. But we need to explore more the ability, the achievements, the talent of Nigerians that are abroad. And we need to avoid, even internally and externally, what is called the guardian syndrome. The guardian syndrome is one of the major impediments to progress and development. And what it means is simply that people say, oh, this is how we do our thing. We're the ones in charge. We don't want other people. And people are perpetually protecting territory. They are protecting space. They are protecting whatever they think they are in charge of. Now, once you do that, you limit creativity and you don't allow room for progress. The Prime Minister also made a great point about youth. I mean, with regard to Nigeria, that's very important. He also talked about education. When you educate the youth, you increase the country's level of competitiveness. Yeah. And we need to commend Mr. Tony Blair for his interest in Africa. He's a great friend of Africa. He's been involved in Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Senegal, Guinea, and other African countries in terms of providing support and ideas, either through his Faith Foundation or the Tony Blair Institute for Global Change. I recall, during the Jonathan administration, he had a team that worked with us in the villa at the time. The chief of staff office was mentioned, but his communications team also worked with my office for a time. And I don't know. It's for the public to judge.
The words of Tony Blair pretty much, and segueing into your words about the Guardian syndrome that we own it, pretty much reminds me of the words of Karl Popper. Karl Popper said, let's be intolerant of intolerance. And that's what we need to do for Nigeria to move forward. We need to bring everybody in. You talked about the diaspora population. They bring in 25 billion year on year, into this government, into this country, into the country as a whole. And it shows that it's a very viable sector. We need to be able to hear from them. When President Trump set up his advisory committee, a Nigerian was there, Adebayo Ogunlesi. These are Nigerians that are doing well in the diaspora and Nigerians that are up in the ante. But most importantly, let's be welcoming to new ideas and let's rejig Nigeria. In the next 60 years, we're going to have a larger population, but it's going to be a viable population to be able to push Nigeria forward. It's a great country, and great shall we be in this country.